Hi, everybody. So excited about Pint of No Return launching this week. So I thought I'll read a little bit to you from my book. So let's get cozy. Chapter 1. It was an absolute monster. Trinidad Jones rubbed at a sticky splotch on her apron and slid her offering across the pink flecked Formica counter. The decadent milkshake glittered under the shimmy and shake shop's fluorescent bulbs, from the glorious crown of bruleed marshmallow down the candy-splattered ganache coating the outer rim and the frosted glass through which peeked the red and white striped milkshake itself. Her own reflection stared back at her, hair frizzed, round cheeks flushed. Something this decadent just had to be a crime. What should I call it? Trinidad's freshly minted employees, twins Carlos and Diego Martin, were transfixed, eyes lit with an enthusiasm only 15-year-old boys with bottomless appetites could attain. They might have been staring at a newly landed spaceship for all the wonder in their long-lashed brown gazes. She still wasn't entirely sure which twin was which, but they were doing a bang-up job helping her ready the shop for its launch in a scant 7 days' time. Noodles, her faithful Labrador, cocked his graying head from his cushion near the front door and swiped a fleshy tongue over his lips, which she took as approval. He had already been consulted on a pup-friendly shake she dubbed the Chili Dog, determining it to be more than passable. Noodles was an encouraging sort, which made Trinidad doubly glad she'd decided to adopt a senior citizen companion 6 months earlier instead of a younger pup. Besides, he had a wealth of skills she was just discovering. Carlos whistled, running a hand through his spiky hair, sending it into further disarray. It's like a 4th of July freak shake. He gripped at this pink-coated paint roller he was holding as if it was a Roman spear. Like an eighth wonder of the world or something. You should put a sparkler on top, for the holiday. People would dig that. Diego shook his head. Bad move. Those things can burn at 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit, depending on the fuel and oxidizer. Of course, temperature is not the same as thermal energy, which is going to relate to the mass. So, dude, Carlos said, punching his brother's arm, you're such a dweeb. I mean, turn off your bloated brain and just admire it, would ya? Diego ceased his impromptu physics lecture to join his brother in their mutual appreciation fest. He pulled a clunky video camera from his backpack, and his twin immediately grabbed a spoon and began speaking into it as if it was a microphone. This is Carlos Martin reporting live from the Shimmy and Shake Shop where an ice cream phenomenon is about to be revealed to the world, he pronounced in a booming baritone. Trinidad laughed. I didn't think people used video cameras anymore. Carlos grinned. They don't, but we saw it at the flea market for $2, along with a bunch of old history stuff and some home videos no one will ever watch. We just thought it'd be fun to mess around with it since Diego wants to be a news reporter someday. And a physicist, his brother added. It's good to have goals, Trinidad said. So, the shake gets a thumbs up from the news crew then. We'll skip the sparklers and call it the 4th of July Freak Shake. What do you think about adding a hunk of red, white, and blue nutty brownie star to the marshmallow? Diego smirked at her. Is adding brownies a bad thing, like, ever? All three of them considered. Point taken, Trinidad said. I'll bake them when I get back from my errands and freeze them for the opening. I have to run to the storage unit and pick up a few final things. Go ahead and lock up the shop if I'm not back when you finish for today, okay? She knew Carlos had afternoon football practice, and they chatted about doing some additional odd jobs around town in their effort to bankroll a used Plymouth while they were both studying up for their driving permits. She eyed the fresh coat of pink paint the boys had been applying to the walls. Looks like you're almost done. Diego pointed to the longest wall. We calculated the volume of paint just right, considering we had to apply a third coat. Weird how your husband's name keeps showing through. Reminds me of a horror movie I watched, like he's rematerializing in town again, since all his ex-wives are living here. Now, Carlos broke off as his brother elbowed him in the ribs. Ex-husband, she said, and that would be a good trick for him to rematerialize himself out of jail. She swallowed down a lick of something that was part shame, part anger, and she considered the spot where Gabe's hot dogs was once emblazoned in blocky letters. Moving to the tiny eastern Oregon town of Upper Sprocket, hometown of her cheating ex-husband Gabe Bigley and his two other ex-wives, was her most mortifying life decision to date. At age 36, she should have been settled, married, and raising a family, not jumping up into a highly risky entrepreneurial endeavor in her ex-husband's hometown, no less. Funny, How pride took a back seat to survival. The faster the money ran out, the more palatable the notion of taking over the building Gabe had deeded her on his way to jail became. Her grandfather, Papa Luis, used every derogatory word in his Cuban Spanish arsenal to convince her that Gabe, the hooligan Bigley, should be obliterated from her mind, and that moving back to Miami with him and her mother was the prudent choice. He was probably correct. But now here she was in Sprocket anyway. Now, Gabe's Hot Dogs, a store Gabe had never actually helped run, was being reborn as the Shimmy and Shake Shop, and it was going to be the most successful establishment in the entire Pacific Northwest if it killed her. Upon arrival in Sprocket, she knew the small town tucked in the mountains corner east of Oregon would be the perfect home for her shop. A gorgeous alpine backdrop, sweeping acres of fields, a constant stream of tourists arriving to witness the wonder of Hell's Canyon and participate in various festivals. It could not fail, especially since it wasn't a paltry run-of-the-mill ice cream parlor. Shimmy's would specialize in extravagant, over-the-top shakes that would take the Sprocket and the dessert-loving world by storm. Unless it had all been a massive mental misfire on her part. She swallowed a surge of terror.